This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, September 13th, is one of the greatest wide receivers ever in the NFL. 20 years he spent in the NFL. He played for San Fran, Oakland, Seattle, and Denver. It's like, how are you going to beat this guy in anything? In 99, he was named the second greatest football player of the 20th century, behind one Jim Brown. An NFL Network in 2010 said that the greatest players of all time, it was him. That he even played NCAA football, although not how you want it to be. He was a San Francisco legend, and then, they let him go, and he did play a few good seasons after that, but nothing too big. 13-time Pro Bowler. He's inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2006, the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2010. He's just an icon. It's Jerry Rice, who's 60 years old. So Jerry Rice was born in Mississippi and played a lot of sandlot football. However, the family would struggle financially. But anyway, he was a Mississippi All-State selection at wide receiver, but because of Moore's high school program, he didn't really get noticed a lot. Mississippi State had a chance to get Jerry Rice, but they weren't interested in him. They did contact him, but didn't offer him a scholarship. So he decided to go to Mississippi Valley State, a historic black college in Mississippi. And he liked the fact that the school had a pass-heavy offense. So he committed to go to Mississippi Valley State. So he soaked up a lot of things. He and Willie Todd actually were fantastic and all that. Rice was even named a top 10 person in the Heisman in 1984, taking 9th, which is pretty good for an IAA school and all that. His 50 career touchdown receptions with Mississippi Valley State was an NCAA record for Division I, Division I AA, Division II, or Division III. It was broken in 2006 when New Hampshire wide receiver David Ball got his 51st receiving touchdown. He had broken 18 NCAA records despite not playing in a Division I school and all that. Anyway, the NFL scouts were on him. Dallas and San Francisco were showing interest in him. And it was hard to believe. So anyway, it's the 1985 NFL Draft. Dallas had the 17th selection, and San Francisco had the last pick of the first round because they were the defending Super Bowl champs. So the Niners decided to trade their first, second, and third round pick to New England for New England's first and third round picks. And they snatched them up. They snatched Rice up one spot before Dallas had it. Dallas was stuck with Kevin Brooks, a defensive end from Michigan. Jerry Rice wasn't even the first wide receiver taken in the draft. Al Toon was that for Wisconsin. I mean, don't get me wrong, Al Toon was decent for the Jets, but he wasn't all-world. And Eddie Brown from Cincinnati, who ended up winning the NFL Rookie of the Year in '85, was picked by Cincy. So anyway, it was good and all that. Rice was actually picked first overall in the USFL draft, but they folded quickly. Anyway, Rice competed with Dwight Clark and Freddie Solomon to get to the wide receiver position. Anyway, he exploded in December in a game against the LA Rams with 241 yards receiving, which was a San Francisco record at the time. They did lose. All that. He was named the NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he didn't win the NFL title. Rookie of the Year, that was Eddie Graham. Anyway, San Fran fumbled in the wildcard round against the New York Giants, losing 17-3. Rice decided to spend a lot of time studying the Niners playbook, and it worked. He had a great performance. He helped the Niners make the postseason, but lose in the wildcard 49-3. Unfortunately for Rice, he had a touchdown run, but he fumbled the ball near the goal line, so that wasn't good. Rice would break the receiving touchdowns in one season mark in 1987 with 22. But he only played 12 games because of the stupid strike that, they decided to go with replacement players. Rice did not cross the picket line. That was amazing. The Niners went 13-2, and everyone thought the Niners were going to win the 88 Super Bowl. But they lost in a shocking play to the Minnesota Vikings in the divisional round. Rice was signed a 5-year, $5 million contract in 1988. And the Niners looked good. Rice would have an 11-catch, 215-yard performance in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl 23 against the Bengals, which saw the Niners win 20-16. It was stupendous. Rice was named the Super Bowl MVP. And Rice was going to give the line, "I'm going to Disney World," as the Super Bowl MVP, but it wasn't. It was Joe Montana, and Rice thought he was pushed over because of racism. But anyway, Rice did not catch the winning touchdown in Super Bowl 23. That was John Taylor. But Rice still had pretty good numbers. His 409 yards and 6 touchdowns caught in the postseason were postseason records until Larry Fitzgerald broke it in 2008. Rice helped San Francisco win 14 games and win Super Bowl 24, 55-10. He caught 3 touchdown passes from Montana, which set the record for most touchdowns in a Super Bowl. Anyway, Rice still looked pretty good and all that. He actually led the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. The triple crown for wide receivers. The only other players to do that after Rice were Sterling Sharp, before his neck injury, Steve Smith Sr., Steve Smith, the Carolina guy, and Cooper Kupp of the Rams. Rice had 5 receptions for 54 yards in the NFC title game against the Giants, but they lost 15-13. So, anyway. Rice figured he was the last of the Mohicans because he was the only remaining star player from San Fran's 80s dynasty. Montana was out. Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig left in free agency. San Fran did win 10 games, but they did not get to the postseason. Rice in 1992 broke the receiving touchdowns mark set by Steve Largent, getting his 101st career receiving touchdown. And then in 1994, on Monday Night Football, the first game of the Niners season against the Raiders, he had that touchdown catch to break the record for most career touchdowns, breaking Jim Brown's mark, putting him at 127 career touchdowns. Rice got 10 catches for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns in Super Bowl 29 against the Chargers. And he had a separated shoulder. That's a fantastic job. Rice would have a few good seasons. Before the 97 season, he signed a 7-year, $32 million contract. Unfortunately, though, Rice would tear the ACL and MCL in his left knee on a reverse play. Rice had a streak of 189 consecutive games played, if you don't count those strike games, so the replacement player games. Anyway, He made his return earlier than what doctors advised him to. He wanted to be there for Montana's jersey number retirement, but unfortunately he cracked his left patella as he came down with a catch. San Fran did get 13 wins, but without Rice, no way. Rice at age 36 got a 1,000-yard receiving season in 1998, which was amazing and all of that. Rice made one catch in the 99 playoffs against the Packers. You know, the game that Owens caught that ball. They called it the catch too. But people said that Rice should have. Well, Rice fumbled before his knee hit the ground, and then the Packers would have won the game. But yeah, that was the catalyst for replay coming back. Anyway, Rice tried his best and all that after that, but he just couldn't. Anyway, he struggled. Rice decided to leave the Niners with the emergence of Terrell Owens, and because of their desire to rebuild the team and clear salary. So he signed with Oakland for a 4-year, $7.8 million contract, which was amazing. He formed one of the oldest receiver duels with Tim Brown. So you have Tim Brown and Joey Rice on the same team. That's amazing and all of that. In his first season, in his second season in the NFL, he was in that Tuck Rule game. So anyway, Rice did well. He got to play in the Super Bowl in 2003 against the Buccaneers. Rice did catch 5 balls for 77 yards and a touchdown. And Rice had never lost a Super Bowl. He won 4 with San Fran, but he never faced a loss. But this time it happened. Tampa's defense just did it and all that. Rice was struggling by the time 2004 happened, so he decided to ask for trade. So he did. He went to Seattle for a 7th-round pick. Rice was permitted to wear Largent's number 80, even though that Seattle retired it. He made 25 receptions for 362 yards and 3 touchdowns with the Seahawks. It was amazing. At age 41, he could play all those games. He played 17 games in that season. You're thinking, that's impossible. Actually, no. Because he was traded before Oakland's bye week and after Seattle's. So technically, he didn't miss a game. Anyway, Rice would sign a deal with Denver. But unfortunately, Denver couldn't get him on the roster. So Rice decided before the 05 season to retire at age 43. He had a 20-year career, which was amazing and all that. The Niners gave Rice a 1-day contract. And he was given the honor of having his number 80 retired in November 2006. This guy owns lots of records and all that. So he played 303 NFL games for San Fran, Oakland, and Seattle, getting 197 receiving touchdowns. To put that in perspective, the great receivers have like if you get 10 touchdown receptions, you have to do that for 20 years. And most wide receivers don't make it through 20 years in the league as is. So that's just how good he was. In the postseason, he played 29 postseason games, getting 22 touchdown receptions. So here are the records he has. Some of the records. Most career receiving yards, 22,895. Receptions, 1,549. Touchdown catches, 197. Career touchdowns from scrimmage, 197 receiving, but 10 rushing, so 207. Most career all-purpose yards, 23,546. Most career postseason receiving yards, 2245. Receptions, 151. Touchdowns, 22. Super Bowl records for receiving yards, 589. Receptions, 33. TD catches, 8. And for points scored, 48. Of course, you get 6 points per touchdown. And that's still a Super Bowl record. Most 100-plus yard receiving games, 76. Most consecutive games for reception, 274. So put that in perspective, you have to play roughly 15 years without missing a game as a wide receiver, and also to catch a pass. Most games with a touchdown from scrimmage, 13 consecutive games, 13. Most 1,000+ yard receiving yard seasons, 14. And the most points scored by a non-kicker, 1256. So yeah, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He won in 89, 90, 95. Super Bowl MVP in 1989. 6-time receiving yards leader. Surprised it was only 6. 2-time Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL for the 88 and 94 season. NFL scoring leader in 1988. Many all-decade and anniversary teams. So Rice married Jacqueline Mitchell in September 1987, but they're not together. She filed for divorce in 2007. They had 3 children: Jackie, Jerry Rice Jr., and Jada. Jerry Rice Jr. Had very limited time with UCLA and went to UNLV, but was not drafted. Jerry's son Brandon with someone else, and I don't know who it was. I think it went on wedlock. Played football for the University of Colorado for 2 years and transferred to USC. Anyway, Rice is married to Letitia as of 2019. So he did his job. After football, he was on Dance with the Stars and actually lost to Drew Lachey, which sucked. Got a couple of books. He actually competed in the Fresh Express Classic at TPC Stonebreak at the Nationwide Tour. He was actually second last in all that. So, yeah, Jerry Rice is a legend, and you can bank on that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.